Hey, how's it going? So I was wondering if you'd like to talk about lost characters again. Wait, you said yes? Oh, okay, then let's do it. Lost characters. They're said to be in that particular TV show, game, movie, and to have always have been there the entire time. They range from weird to really weird to there's no way this actually existed at some point, right? And it's true, some of these are real, some of these are fake, but that's just really the big fun of it all. It's up to me, Zeep, to figure out which is real and which is fake. And hey, if you want some more of this, let's get this video to 7,000 likes, and my YouTube channel to 80,000 subscribers, how about that? Let's get this started. L from Luigis Mansion. So this one's a little crazy. Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorite games of all time. For those who haven't played it, it's basically Luigi hopping around, catching ghosts, and trying to find his brother Mario. The first Luigi's Mansion is really good. The ghosts in the game aren't really super creepy per se, but there once was a lost character who was going to be in the game that actually was pretty creepy. Enter L. L was a scrapped character who was going to appear in the game with long arms and with no face. Otherwise named as EOH, L's model is really unsettling. It may be because he didn't do much else with this ghost, but the way he just stands there looming over, it just seems like so unsettling. Like, what does he have planned, dude? What is he gonna do? With a weird looking body, there are no textures attached to him whatsoever, which I think adds to his creepiness. In the game files, he does have an attack, but it also seems as if he was going to be a boss fight of some sorts, due to his sheer uniqueness. Associated with his particle effects are ice and fire, which people have suggested that he was going to be in control of multiple elements during his boss fight. To this day, many players still wonder, what is L? Anyways, time for the next character. But first, a message from our sponsor, Atlas VPN. So guys, while researching these characters, I've found myself on some sketchy websites. Websites that, if I'm being honest, have made me fearful of my privacy. Thanks to Atlas VPN, I'm able to encrypt my IP address and location, and I've been able to protect myself from potential privacy breaches. Not only that, but Atlas VPN's user interface is fantastic and super easy to use. A cool thing about Atlas VPN is that it allows you to change your digital location. For example, I've been watching the latest season of Better Call Saul on Netflix. However, the 6th season isn't available in the United States. However, it is available in other countries such as the UK. With Atlas VPN, I'm able to change my location, and I'm able to watch as much Saw as my heart desires. Atlas VPN works for various devices including Mac and PC, including smartphones. With over 4 million users worldwide and access to hundreds of servers from various countries, right now is the perfect time to get Atlas VPN. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.83 a month, plus 3 months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Time is running out, so get your deal by clicking the link in the video description below. Once again, thanks to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video. It really means the world. Polygon Man. I'd like to thank the commenter, the Grand X Bunny, for mentioning this in my comment section, and really a lot of you for suggesting some terrific lost characters, but really Polygon Man is incredible. So when the original PlayStation 1 was releasing in 1995, Sony needed a mascot to help market the console. Polygon Man actually made it so far that he appeared in print ads for the original PS1. However, after E3 1995, PlayStation creator Ken Kutaragi grew sour on the concept altogether and rejected Polygon Man's use in adverts, forever cursing him into the dustbin of obscurity. Personally, I think Polygon Man looked pretty cool. He looks like the typical 1990s teenager, but the creator of PlayStation did not feel the same way when he first saw it in E3 in 1995. Because according to interviews, apparently Kutaragi got incredibly upset, not because he thought the design was really super bad, but really because of the shading of the character. It bothered him so much that people have joked around and stated that Polygon Man was taken into the car parking lot and quietly shot. When I say people, I'm not talking about the typical Sony fan, I'm talking about the head honchos who are behind marketing. The creator of PlayStation was so pissed off about this shading, I'm not exaggerating, it was hilarious. This was not the end of Polygon Man, however. He would appear again in 2012's PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I remember playing this when I was in middle school, being like, man, this is fun, but it kind of makes me just want to play Smash Bros instead. I mean, it was alright, but Polygon Man being the final boss for PlayStation All-Stars was pretty cool. Another cool thing is a lot of the quotes that he mentions during his boss fight are taken directly from the print ads when he was first featured. It's pretty cool, honestly. It's literally an instance of a lost character who came back to get revenge. Jives from Lazy Town. Alright guys, I have something to admit. When I was a kid, I was a bit of a little bitch, and whenever I would see puppets on the screen, I'd immediately turn off the screen because I thought they were really creepy. They never really sat right with me when I was a kid. I don't know if anyone else could relate to this, but I would see one and I'd be like, nope, I'm not watching that. It's weird, it's creepy. They're not real humans. They're weird. So when it came to Lazy Town, my only exposure was being afraid, and also rejoicing in the "We Are Number One" meme from 2016. So when it comes to Jives from Lazy Town, I know for a fact if I did see this guy, my 5-year-old self would have actually just died. So here's the thing, before Lazy Town was even a TV show, it was a play, an on-stage performance, premiering in Iceland in the 1990s. So the thing about Jives is that he was actually pretty prominent in the on-stage performance of Lazy Town, with his mannerisms including acting tired and sloppy. Something that I noticed while briefly watching the on-stage performance of Lazy Town is that other characters are like assholes to Jives. Like there's this one character named Sporticus who gives some pretty bad advice to Jives, telling him to eat raw fish without cleaning it first, which is, I don't know about you, is not a good idea. My favorite part about watching this clip is literally watching dabbing being invented in front of my eyes. As mentioned prior, Jives has a lack of enthusiasm compared to other characters in Lazy Town. That being said, he's appeared in every major adaptation of Lazy Town except for the television series. His puppet form does appear in an unaired pilot for the show, but once again, this was never originally unveiled to the public. In the show, he does have brief appearances. He appears on like books and cards, but he never actually makes an appearance. His house also appears in the background, but once again, we don't see his puppet. In every sense of the word, he is lost from the show. And in all honesty, I kind of feel bad for him. But real quick, I'd like to thank all of you for helping me get to 70,000 subscribers. It's really appreciative. Let's get to 80,000 now. Thanks, guys. Launch from Dragonball. There's something I need to preface here. I love Dragonball. Yeah, there's some dumb stuff involved, including like 50 episodes of filler in between major moments in the series, but most of all, I really love this series. And I think a lot of it comes from nostalgia, from watching so much of it as a child. That being said, I totally forgot there was a character named Launch, and it's kinda sad, because she was pretty prominent in the original Dragon Ball. Some people are going to get mad about that, because Launch is really a fan favorite here. She's prone to anger, and often results into gunfire whenever she does get mad. When she has blue hair, she's sweet and cheerful, but as soon as she turns blonde, it's a bit of like a Dr. and Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of deal. It's honestly hilarious and just really represents how funny the original Dragon Ball series was. However, when it came to transitioning to Dragon Ball Z, the creator of Dragon Ball, Toriyama, was honest with an interviewer and stated this: he completely forgot about Launch. And what I mean by forget is that he really wanted to put her into the manga at the beginning, but had no idea what to do with her character at first. So he really put her to the side. Eventually, as Dragon Ball Z got more and more complex with its characters, he was reminded about Launch and realized he had nothing else to do with her, because she was so far gone from the general story. It's not all that bad though, because she would appear in other Dragon Ball adventures, including video games and specials.
Launch! It's been a while. Someone forget about you?
So unlike other lost characters, Launch was actually remembered at some point, and has not been forever doomed into obscurity. Which I would argue, guys, is good for the rest of the lost characters I've mentioned all throughout this series. Not everything is set in stone. All of them could come back at some point, with enough pushing and remembrance. Appy. Alright, so let me get this started with by stating that this character is obviously just not real. I remember Appy from when I was like in middle school reading creepypastas, and let me just say, creepypastas, they really were far out. They were out of this world. Because they would range from stupid to even more stupid, but some of them would actually be pretty good. Like for every SpongeBob creepypasta, you'd at least have a good creepypasta like 1999 on there. Basically, what creepypasta was a bunch of horror stories of made-up things, whether it be original or a lost episode of a children's TV show. So when it comes to Appy, in retrospect, I thought this was pretty good back in the day, but nowadays it's just kind of like, whatever. Allegedly, Appy was this Nick Jr. original show depicting a talking apple named Appy, who taught kids how to handle certain injuries, and it all seemed all normal at first. However, as you continue to progress through the episodes, things get progressively more and more disturbing and horrifying. I did not expect the fandom for Happy Appy to be so big that one user actually created an entire series based on this made-up TV show. I've seen a couple people in the comment section of these videos suggest that this is all real, and let me just stress this is all fake. This is all obviously fake. Sorry to be that killjoy, but there's no way this would have actually made it on Nick Jr. So the last episode of Happy Appy, which supposedly aired in 1999, depicts two buildings on fire, and you could probably guess what that's supposed to depict. I can't show it on screen because then this video would be demonetized, but the event was pretty bad. And the quote-unquote creepy part comes from Happy Appy predicting what was going to happen 2 years later in 2001. I think the fan video trying to depict this part of the story is pretty interesting, but other than that, I think it's a pretty underwhelming creepypasta if I'm being honest. I've definitely read and seen better. Fred Flintstone Jr. Do you guys remember the ad in which Fred Flintstone is just smoking a cigarette with his friend? Like they're watching their wives work hard, and then they go and proceed to go around back and then just start smoking, and not trying to help them whatsoever at all. What really catches me off guard is when Barney just nonchalantly whips out a giant cigarette pack, and then they just get everyone else to start smoking as well. It's really far out. The only way this relates to the topic of this next character is that it's a Flintstone. Sorry, not sorry, I just really wanted to talk about that. So you know how Fred Flintstone has a child, Pebbles? Well, originally, Fred Flintstone was supposed to have a son that was going to go by the name of Fred Flintstone Jr. In fact, in the late 1950s, a book with the Flintstones released, depicting this child on the cover. Honestly, it may be the art style of the book, but I really like Fred Flintstone Jr.'s design here. It's a shame that he only appears in this book and never in the actual television series. It's been rumored that he was actually going to be in the show, and that voice work was going to happen with him, including animation, but it never materialized. The book was released in 1959, about a year before the actual TV show released, and there have been many theories detailing why he didn't appear on the show. That in the rush to create the half-hour premiere for the season, they simply just had to drop his character altogether. They chose not to introduce him in further episodes because they already had Pebbles, who served the function of being the child of Fred Flintstone. Other theories are a little darker, with some of them suggesting that Fred Flintstone Jr. was unceremoniously killed by dinosaurs off-screen. That's honestly kind of the fun when it comes to lost characters. Like, we tend to create our own headcanons on why these guys just don't appear in these things anymore. Personally, I would like to believe the fan theory on why he isn't in this show anymore. Dinosaurs were ruthless, so it would make sense. But if that is the headcanon we're going for, then that would make this page from the book even more tragic, which reads as this. "Ah, please, Pop," begged Junior. "All the other kids have one, and I'll train him." "Well, alright," grumbled Fred, "but on one condition. He stays outside." You know, after reading this and reading the fan theory, I guess Flintstone Jr. got eaten by his pet dinosaur. Jesus, that's terrible. Some people might get a little upset over this one because, well, the Noid is back. In 2021, Domino's chose to revamp him and bring him back into marketing. Not only that, but for the past decade or so, the Noid has made cameo appearances in various promotional materials for Domino's Pizza. Created in the year 1986, the Noid was the physical manifestation of everything that could go wrong in a pizza delivery. I may find him a little annoying, but when it comes to the Noid, a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia towards him. Being a pop culture giant of the 1980s, even going as far as having his own video game during the 1990s. So what gives if he was so popular, arguably the most popular character I've covered on these lists? Why did he disappear for such a long period of time? On January 30th, 1989, Kenneth Lamar Noid entered a Domino's restaurant in Chamblee, Georgia. Being a mentally ill man, he convinced himself that Domino's Pizza was purposely teasing him, making fun of his last name. He had convinced himself that the Domino's company was spying on him, with all this mounting paranoia leading to him to eventually hold two Domino's employees hostage. He demanded the two employees to call up Domino's headquarters and to force them to hand him over $100,000 alongside a white limousine as a getaway transportation. Cops eventually came by and tried to negotiate with Noid, but it apparently was incredibly difficult to do so. Eventually, Noid became hungry and demanded his two hostages to make a pizza for him. While he was eating, he put his weapon on his lap, allowing the two hostages to run out and escape. Having no more leverage to make demands, he eventually gave himself up to police. He was found not to be guilty of any of his crimes due to reason of insanity. Ironically enough, journalists decided to poke fun at the entire situation and would title their headlines, "Domino's Can't avoid Mr. Noid, referencing the wackiness of the actual character. On February 23rd, 1995, Noid himself took his own life. Throughout the rest of the 1990s and most of the 2000s, the Noid would be shelved as the mascot of Domino's, returning in December of 2009 for a limited t-shirt run. Domino's has stated that the hostage situation was not the reason for the Noid's removal as the mascot of the company, while others have argued otherwise due to the timing of his removal. Whatever the case may be, the Noid was lost for years upon years, but eventually found himself back into pop culture. It is up to the viewer to accept whether or not he should return with open arms. Judy Winslow from Family Matters. I teased this in my previous part of this series, and let me just say something. This is far out. So Judy over here appeared in the first 4 seasons of Family Matters, and let me just say this, that's nothing to scoff at, that's a lot of episodes. The actress who played Judy, Jamie Foxworth, was dropped from the show after season 4, with fans of the show receiving no information of why she was dropped. Well, the reason is actually a little depressing. So in 1989, Steve Urkel made his first appearance in the show. Originally going to be a one-off, everyone fell in love with Urkel. So much so that the writers of Family Matters started to make the show all about him. Heading into season 2 and beyond that, Urkel's presence in the show pushed away other characters, leading to a division within the cast. Characters such as Judy noticeably had few or no lines in the show. Following season 4, the actress for Judy was fired, due to her dwindling role in the series. Her TV mom and dad were fighting with executives behind the scenes to keep her on the show, but it was all for naught. Once the actress was removed, Jamie Foxworth began to question her own self-esteem, asking herself why she wasn't good enough to stay on the show. Throughout the rest of the show, the Winslow parents started to act as if they only had 2 kids throughout their entirety of the show instead of 3 when Judy used to be on the show. Wow, that isn't just like an insult to the actress herself, but also an insult to the viewer as well who's been paying attention. I don't know, when it comes to characters like these, it's kind of better to make up an excuse on why they aren't appearing in the show anymore, as I think it's more insulting by pretending they're just not there anymore, and that they never existed in the first place. Actor Eddie McRae, who played Eddie Winslow in the show, would later state this in an interview about Judy's disappearance. In this game, it's not about what works for you as a talent, it's about what works for the producers. This industry is not our game. As Jamie Foxworth's money ran dry, she tried to find something else to do, even resorting to music after she was fired from the show. She eventually released 1 album, but it didn't do too well. Eventually, at the age of 19, she resorted to making films for the adult film industry to make quick money. She would later regret this, feeling as if she degraded herself by performing in these videos, stating that she lost all her confidence, her entire self-esteem, losing family members and friends over the reaction for her starring in these films. Falling into a depression, she resorted into drinking and smoking as a way to cope with the aftermath. After receiving news that she was pregnant, she knew she had to stop and was able to rebound from substance abuse. Over the years, Jamie Foxworth has been able to budget her money well, and to this day she still receives income from Family Matters reruns. That being said, in September of 2017, there was a Family Matters reunion photo shoot, one in which Jamie was not invited to, which left her upset, with her later stating that it was a smack in the face, and believing there wasn't any good explanation from excluding her. The story of Judy and Jamie Foxworth is incredibly saddening. With that being said, I've been Zeep, be sure to subscribe, and if you want more Lost characters, check out this playlist. Later!